Yeah, looks terrible. So today we're going to be talking about SAO, also known as Sword Art Online. But I didn't think about this, and what I should have done is I should have put Bible verses on the screen. Oh, but you know what? I can do this.
So, since SAO and all that anime is your stuff, I get to be the biblical one.
Yep.
And talking about that. So, Steven is going to more of be talking about the anime, even though I did watch some. Steven, thank you. He sent me this video that kind of, it's like the Cliff Notes version of everything, which is really nice. So I can at least have some sense of what's going on, and it's a lot. However, I did enjoy what I watched. It sounds interesting. I will definitely have to go back and really watch like the entire thing.
Yeah, it's a good series. It's definitely one of those series that's like, okay, well,
so this is our first episode for the month of November.
February.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Why did I say November?
I don't
Wow.
know.
I don't know where that came from, because I was ready to say, can you guess what we're talking about? Of course, we're talking about love. Love. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about love. Ooh. Yes. Ooh is correct.
If I could get the chat to actually figure out where the heck it is. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to do this. Okay, since I can't figure out how to do this, and I'll just have it up for next time. Let's go ahead and read the verse we're going to be talking about. It is... love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I put away the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I put in part, then I know fully, even as I am fully known. And these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love.
That's beautiful. And that's found in 1 Corinthians chapter 13.
You know, speaking of love, Jason, just because by this point it's become nothing but a giant meme to both of us. Once my computer recognizes it. But because this is a new episode, we got to do it. Oh, you know what? I know why it's doing that. Hold on. I got to take studio mode off. Okay, here we go. Now the meme begins. Yes.
Bromance.
Bromance is a thing.
Beautiful.
So we're going to be talking about SAO, also known as Sword Art Online. And in this series, you have a young protagonist by the name of Kirito. Kirito and the female protagonist named Asuna get trapped in a world where they basically can't get out of a VR game. Like, they're trapped in virtual reality. And basically, if anybody tries to get them out of the game, it will kill them. If they interrupt the service, it will kill them. So basically, there's just all these things that could basically kill them. And the thing I like about this, it shows love, is like the very first thing we're talking about is love is patient. With Kirito and Asuna, like, one could definitely say, like, there's so much patience with them. Because, like just talking about the very first episode, not even the very first episode, like the second episode or third episode, we start seeing Kirito and Asuna start to develop a relationship. And, excuse me. And we have this thing where, like, it doesn't stop. Like, there's no real way for them to be together.
It's all in this virtual world.
Yeah, it's all in the virtual world. Like, you're like, oh yeah, we can all be together. It's fine. We can all be together. We can be married in this virtual world. It's fine. But they can't truly be together. When we're talking about love is patient. Boy, wow. Like, you only saw, like, the cliff notes of the first 2 seasons.
I did.
So, like, you don't even have any clue about Alicization. Like, when we're talking about love is being patient, like, Kirito has to go from day 1 being trapped in a video game to season 2, spoiler alert, where Asuna is trapped in a video game and can't get her out, to season 3 and 4, where, huge spoiler, Kirito is thought to have something done to him, and everybody thinks he's gone permanently, and then they find out he's alive still.
Wow.
So, like, you have this eternal struggle with Kirito and Asuna wanting to be together, but they can't because they have to be patient and wait for each other. Whether it's Kirito's family waiting for Asuna, or Asuna's family holding the reins and wanting specific people to be led to her, or something like that. Like, it's a very real situation in Japanese culture where people are, prearranged marriage. But it's even in American cultures, like, it's weird. Like, prearranged marriages are a thing, and most people think they're not. But you have it in a situation where Kirito has to wait and be patient. It's a struggle for this character.
Well, how many people like patience? Nobody. I mean, I always joke, the reason why patience is a virtue is because there's so many stupid, impatient people.
Yeah, I mean...
Unfortunately, I'm one of those. I don't like to be patient. I don't know too many people who like to be patient.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're a doctor, you like patience.
Kind of have to. Or a dentist.
Right? A dentist? I mean, because at least then they give you money.
That's true.
Yeah.
Gotta have patience.
I love these dad jokes. But you were saying, like, one of your...
Yeah, so it definitely reminds me in the Bible. If we go all the way back to Genesis, the book of Genesis, very first book of the Bible, and in there we find a story kind of similar, except they're not stuck in a VR world. This is well before they had that technology. But you have a young man, his name is Jacob, and he sees this woman, Rachel, and he thinks, she is very good looking. I want to marry her. So he goes and talks to her dad, and her dad says, work for me for 7 years and she will be your wife. And he says, okay. Can you imagine loving someone so much that you will work for her father, hard labor, for 7 years just so you can marry her? And it took a lot of patience. And so he did it. And the time comes, and he's able to get his wife. Unfortunately, though, her dad tricks him.
Yeah.
She has an older sister named Leah. Yep. And instead of Jacob marrying Rachel, whom he worked 7 years for, he was given Leah. Because she was the oldest, and in that culture, the oldest was supposed to get married. You know, it's supposed to be, you do it in order.
Right.
And so then her father said, okay, well, if you want Rachel, work for me for another 7 years.
Right.
And so, because he loved her so much, he did exactly that. And he worked another 7 years so he could marry Rachel. So he worked a total of 14 years so he could marry this one woman whom he loved so very much. Now, yes, it was a different time. Yes, he was married to both. It was a much different time. But still, can you imagine waiting 14 years just to marry this one girl? That takes patience.
Oh, it also takes commitment too. Like, when we're talking love is patient, like, it's, Jacob's like a prime example of being patient. A lot of people don't know this. In Genesis chapter 3, is when sin is written. Is like when Adam and Eve are cast out of the garden. It's very traumatic for everybody. But in verse 15, he gives a way out. Like, he point blank says, "Here is your way out. I am going to send somebody." And quote the verse for me, because I know it's Genesis 3:15, but I'm not. But he's basically saying, I'm gonna sortify this. I am going to send somebody. Oh, okay, you got it. Good.
Gotcha.
Because you have done this, you are cursed more than all the animals, domestic and wild. You will crawl on your belly, groveling in the dust as long as you live. And I will cause hostility between you and the woman, and cause your offspring and her offspring. He will strike your head, and you will strike his heel. Now, I want to point out here that this is very, very point blank. He is talking about the second Adam, or Jesus. So like the very first sin, Adam and Eve screw up. Now, say what you want about Adam and Eve. They're human. They made a mistake. It's a real thing. But God, in his love, said, okay, all you guys screwed up. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait for you to come back to me. And I'm going to give you this way out. And here's the way out. We see it in Genesis 3:15. Now, here's something funny. Depending if you're old earth or new earth is depending on how long you believe the world was created. But what we see here is important, because a couple millennia later, guess what? We have John 3:16 and John 3:17. Okay, John 3:16. For God, say it with me because I know you guys know it. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Now, Jason, a lot of people don't know the 3:17.
For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through Jesus Christ.
Right. See, here's the thing. Like, we screwed up. Man screwed up. But God was so caring and loving and patient. That word patient comes up again. That he gave us a way out. And even in our sin, and even in our screw-ups, I'm sorry I'm getting a little close to my mic right now, but like, you guys gotta understand, like, even in our screw-ups, he still loves us and is patient enough to go, I'm still here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like going back to Kirito and Asuna. You know, Kirito had to fight consistently. Fight and fight and fight and fight and fight for Asuna.
Yeah.
You want true image of love? A true image of love is somebody that will be patient enough to let you go your own way for you to come back to them.
That's good. Because I know we're focusing a lot on, you know, like love, like ooh, but you know, this also, it's not just reserved for like man and woman, you know, like a relationship like that, like even a friendship, you know, you're truly going to be patient with other people, because that is a sign of love. You know, if I was just to interrupt you or just really kind of like really push you, if I wasn't patient with you, then you're just going to get frustrated. You're going to be like, man, I really don't know that we're friends. You know, you're really not showing me love. You're not really showing me that respect. But because we're patient with others, you know, that is a big sign of love. I don't know if y'all know this, but when Steven and his wife first moved down to Texas, they were staying with my wife and I at our house.
That needed a bunch of patience.
And, you know, I'm going to be a little honest, that there were some times that I was just like, oh, Steven.
His hand is gripping around my neck. I just want to point that out.
But I knew that, you know, there was a lot, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on, you know, and I mean, y'all were just learning, y'all were just newly married, and, you know, there were times that I just had to stop and I had to think and say, you know what, I love Steven so much that if he leaves a chip wrapper out, it's going to be okay. Because at least he's eating the chips that we really don't like.
And he always brings them to me.
I do.
Aww.
You're welcome, buddy. You know. But anyways, I say that not to like toot my horn, but you know, like it really is about like, how are we treating others? How are we, you know, are we truly loving each other? Because when we think love, we think, okay, like, ooh, you know, love between a man and a woman. But I mean, like, I can look at you and I can say, Steven, I love you. And in return, we'll just look at each other, and in our minds, we'll hear the words, every time.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, and that's a thing. Like, love is going to be patient. Love is wanting to fight that battle that you think you're going to lose. You know, God does that with us. 100%. When you're married, you have to be patient with each other. Sometimes more often than not. I know your past, and you've said just from your stuff, and that's not my place to say anything, that, you know, your wife has had to be patient with you, and you've had to be patient with your wife. That's just kind of the deal.
When you live with people, you definitely have to have that patience. Especially like when you first move in with people. You're getting to know them, they're getting to know you.
All right, give us 1 second. I gotta. All right, so yeah, like when you're living with someone, like it's you have to learn how to deal with people.
So, love is patient. How many of us really like to be patient?
Not me.
No. But patience is a virtue. And when we are patient with others, they'll see it. And brace yourself for this. You ready?
Yep.
We also need people to be patient with us.
No.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we can be a little...
We can? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I know I can. My wife tells me all the time.
I mean, your wife is smart. I'm just saying.
Lord bless you, babe.
Hey, it's Jenny. So, yeah, like when we're talking about love, you know, it's something that, you know, love being patient. I can think of one love that shows like the epitome of being patient.
Okay, and what's that?
Well, this is a very real thing. People with PTSD.
Okay.
No matter where you got the PTSD from, whether you got it from military service, whether you got it from traumatic stuff in your life, whether you got anything like that. Like, when you have PTSD, sometimes you'll have night terrors. Sometimes you'll have trauma during certain times of the year that you can't explain and you can't say anything. But having that love and being patient enough with that person to say, hey, I love you, I care about you, I know you're going through some things right now. It's a real thing. Just know I'm here. Like that is like mountains. Like that speaks mountains. Like you don't even have to say anything or do anything. Like for most people with trauma, like being patient and just loving them, saying, "Hey, I'm here for you. Here's the Lego set. You know, I'm always down for a good Lego set. But like, I'm here for you. If you need to talk, I'm here. But if not, just sitting there with them, enjoying their favorite show with them, sometimes like the best way to love somebody.
Even if you don't care for it at all.
Right.
Being able to just be there and be available.
Yeah. I would definitely say that. Jason, you've done a really good job at that, and I'm using this as a test mark, and hold on, because Amber's coming in, and I know she doesn't want to be on camera. All right. So, Jason, you've done a really good job at like just the ministry of presence. That's what it's called. It's the ministry of presence. And by the way, it's very much this. Did that not work? Hold on. Oh, it's going to. Oh, dang it. Okay. Let me see if I can fix this. Is there a way to do the duration? I'll have to fix that later. But oh well. All right, moving on.
Nance.
Yeah. But no, here's the thing, guys. The ministry of presence, the ministry of being patient with those people that you care about, like, speaks volume to you. And sometimes, like, that's the best ministry. It's kind of like with Kirito and Asuna. During Alicization, basically they thought Kirito was dead. And just Asuna's presence, saying, I'm here for you and I love you, was enough to bring him back to life. But like, here's the thing. Love, you have to be patient. You have to be. Whether that's being patient with your spouse, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, with your best friend, with your dog even. You have to be patient. And that's what today is all about, is, you know, we're talking about love being patient.
It's not the easiest thing.
No.
By any means. In fact, it's one of the hardest things.
Yep.
You know, especially when they're going through something, and you know, I can say I've been guilty of this, where I've had a friend go through a traumatic experience, losing a loved one, and I remember at times thinking, dude, just get over it. And then later on, the Lord convicted me, and I was like, yeah, that's not being very patient. And that's the worst response that you can have. Sometimes, again, I mean, exactly what you're saying. Sometimes the best response is to not say anything at all and just sit there. And they may be feeling this way. It may be months. It may even be years. And you don't have to always say something. It's just being there to listen.
And like, here's the other thing I would say with that is, like, when we're talking about being patient, like, don't take the way, sometimes when people are going through a hard time, don't take the way they act towards you. Because a lot of times it's not, they just don't know how to emote.
It's good.
You know, I'm talking, you know, talking personally, but, you know, I'm also talking about my friends that I've seen who have worse PTSD than I do, who are combat vets. Like, sometimes just being there is all that's needed.
Yeah.
And that love of being patient with them is like the best thing in the world. Although, again, it's hard. Like, the hardest thing you can possibly do.
But there's a reason why patience is a part of love.
And why is that?
Because it's hard. Because it's difficult. But you have to have those tough aspects. There's a reason why at the end of that it says that now these three remain: faith, hope, and love, but the greatest is love. Because you have to put so much into love. And so it's the hardest, but it's the most rewarding.
somebody say let's have some church up in here? Hold on, I'm gonna see if this is it. No. Alright, let's be honest here. Let's just have church for a real second, even though like we're not really being church. Like even though this is not church, it's a podcast. Like this stuff is very real. Love is hard. Love is one of the hardest things that anybody can do for another person. I don't know why I'm saying this. I just feel like I gotta say this. Love is the hardest thing. We're dealing with specifically patience. Love is the hardest thing anybody can do for anybody else. Do you know the guy by the name of John Wesley?
John Wesley, yes.
Okay, what do you know about John Wesley?
He was an old school preacher, preached many revivals.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Go for it.
John Wesley had a heart condition. This heart condition made it so that his heart is normally in the center of your chest. It actually moved 3 inches to the left. The doctors told him point blank, if you do not stop praying, you are going to die. John Wesley had such a heart for people that he couldn't stop praying. Instead, he said, I am not going to stop praying. My God will protect me. And every day, he would go into his prayer closet and go into his prayer room and weep and pray for the people around him, because he knew that God was going to show results. But he was patient with those people, even though he loved them to the point he had to have patience with them, knowing that only God can bring them in. Now, there may be some people who are going to be listening to this podcast or even watching this podcast go, hey, wait a second. My wife, my husband, my kids, my whatever, they're not following God, they're whatever. You have to have patience with them and let them go. And love them from afar sometimes.
Yeah.
Because only then, when you're weeping and you're crying, only then will your love for them really show through to them.
That's good.
Because love is being patient. Love means that you have to be patient not only with them, but you also have to be patient with God.
Yeah.
Like being patient with God is one of the hardest things people can do. Because it's not about your wants, your needs, what you have to say. It's about God's timing. And you have to be patient with God.
Yeah.
To show love to some of those people.
Yeah. Because God's definitely patient with us. I mean,
yeah.
I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, me too.
We all can. But
wow, this is some deep stuff today, though.
Yeah. That's what it's supposed to be. But that is how much God loves us, that he's patient. You know, at time, I mean, how many of us have had those seasons in our life where we pretty much told God, I don't need you, and we went and did things on our own?
Yeah.
Did God ever give up on us? Did he ever say, well, you know what? You don't need me? Well, that's fine. I don't need you. No. He said, you know what? I'm not done with you. I also think of Romans chapter 1, if you've ever read that. And it talks about how people are in sin. And so God just kind of gives them up to a reprobate mind. Like they're in sin. And he reaches a point where he just says, you know what? I'm done. Here you go. Verse 24. This is the NIV. It says, therefore God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurity for the degrading of their bodies with one another. And they and then it says, because of this, God, they were in their shameful lust, and says, because of this, God gave them over to their shameful lust. I'm skipping ahead. Verse 28, furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind, so they do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, greed, evil, and depravity. And it goes on saying all this stuff. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. I remember one time, actually last year, that I had a really hard season, but it was like a come to Jesus season where the Lord just kind of really opened my eyes. And I remember I sat down one day and I decided I'm going to read Romans. And I read that, Romans chapter 1, and I read the commentary, and I began to weep, because this is talking about people, again, they know God's righteous decree, people who know better, and yet they decide to do their own thing. They decide to sin. And so God doesn't give up on them. God doesn't say, well, you know what? You know what's right and you know what's wrong, and you're choosing to do what's wrong, so I'm done with you. He doesn't do that. Instead, what he does is he says, you know what? You're in sin and you know it, but you're still choosing to do this. So what I'm going to do, he says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you to continue in your sin. I'm going to stand back here. And that can sound harsh, but it's actually very loving, because we want free will. We want to do our own thing. I don't need you, God. I'm going to do my own thing. Okay, so God says, all right, you do you. You do you, boo. And I'm just going to stay back here. But the beauty of all of this, the beauty of that, is at any point, we can stop what we're doing. More than likely, we're going to hit rock bottom. And we're going to lose everything. Our friends, maybe family members, we're going to lose everything. And we're going to hit rock bottom. We're going to be so empty, so broken. And God, in his infinite love and mercy and grace, loves us so much. He's going to look at us, and as soon, the moment we acknowledge and we say, God, I can't do this on my own. I've run away from you. God, I need you. He's right there.
Yeah. Going back to Kirito and Asuna, like Kirito was always there for Asuna. Asuna was always there for Kirito, and that's what got him through in the end. And when we're talking about love, like, you got to understand that love is being there for somebody when they don't even think you need you. They need you. Like, point blank.
Yeah. Kind of like what we talked about with our other episode, when we had the response actually about our first episode, what if we feel like there's a change that we need to make and someone's not on board with it?
Yeah.
That's going to take patience.
Yeah.
For us to figure out what exactly is best, or for that person, they love us so much that if they're willing to say, I see this change that either you need to make or you're not making, and they recognize that ultimately it's our decision, that's going to take patience.
Yeah, and having that patience is pivotal. And when you're making changes or just in relationships, Yeah, I got nothing further to add for this week. Do you?
I don't.
Okay, so guys, join us next week. We'll be talking about love is kind, and we probably won't be using SAO. We'll probably be doing something else. But come back and stay tuned for that next podcast. This is probably going to go live on Spotify tomorrow or Thursday. Probably tomorrow because I have a little bit of time tomorrow. So follow us over there. Check it out. We'd love for you guys to listen in and give us your thoughts. And oh, by the way, if you reply to watch it on YouTube and put a reply in, more than likely we'll post a little blurb about it and do a reply. We want to start doing sections where you guys get comments. Also, if you want to see specific content about or our views on certain things, do me a favor, post them in chat, post them on our Twitter us, DM us, go to our website when it's live and contact us and give us your thought. These are all ways you can connect with us, and I'll put a bot that talks about our socials sometime this week as well. But guys, we love you. We care about you, and
we're praying for you.
We're praying for you.
And I would also add, not only if you have any suggestions about something or thoughts or questions, if you just simply need prayer, dude, just let us know, and we'll be praying for you. Because one of the things Stephen and I want to do with this is just to be open and honest and vulnerable, because life stinks sometimes. Life is hard.
Yeah.
But we were never meant to go through life alone. And so I want you to know that we're here for you, and we really do love you, and we'll be praying for you in whatever ways we can. If you just want to shoot us a DM, you don't want anything to be public, but you're like, hey, I'm dealing with this, and I need some prayer. Let us know.
Yeah, we'll put you on our prayer list, and we'll pray for you every day.
Absolutely. Follow us on socials. Pray that you have a blessed week, and we will catch you later.
Yeah, those on Twitch, we're going to go ahead and raid our friends at God Squad Church. Let me go ahead and click on them real quick so we can see the raid. But love you guys. We'll talk to you later.